So Mantra is building a layer 1 solution for RWAs, launching mainnet next month. We've been around for about 4 years. You guys have covered us in the early days, and good to be back. And right now we're really focused on building out this layer 1 solution for asset tokenization.
Me personally, I'm not building that much. I mean, as the chairman, I'd lead our business team, our legal, finance, everything that we do on Sky Mavis when we are investing in different game studios, that's kind of me. But Sky Mavis, we're building, we have 4 core pillars. We're building the Ronin wallet, which is kind of very consumer facing. It has over 12 million downloads so far. 4 million people are using it every month. We have our publishing branch where we invest in different game studios. We have our Mavis marketplace, similar to OpenSea, where the game studios are publishing or shipping their own NFTs. And then lastly, we have Axie Infinity, the IP, and basically the games. I guess the 5th one is Ronin as a protocol. So we're building out the blockchain system itself. So that's for Sky Mavis. Me, I call myself the janitor sometimes. I'm all over the place. I try to make sure that things are being pushed in the right direction. We actually have a launcher within the Sky Mavis ecosystem. It's called the Mavis Hub. What we found is that it's quite problematic for game developers to, there's a security aspect with it. They need to distribute the game in that. And the real problem is actually getting users to use the platform itself. The real place where the touch point for the customer is actually the wallet. The wallet is where you would distribute from. So what actually we're looking for is to make really clear connections with the wallet. So we have our own portal, a website where you'll be able to launch games from, which is basically kind of like Steam, but it's very tightly connected to the wallet. So we just need one touch point rather than having the wallet, having the kind of the Steam launcher, all of these things. It's too much for now, but I guess in the future we might have a separate one, but it's just, we're not quite there yet.
I cannot spice it up too much. Well, actually, no, it's not true. Talking about spicy, there is a meme coin, first meme coin being launched called Pepper, of course, because chili pepper. And Pepper launching in a few weeks now, I believe, just full airdrop to Chiliz token holders. And the reason I'm talking about it is because, two reasons we're talking about it. I hate meme coin. I hate what it means. But yet, what is a meme coin? It's a fan token of a digital community. It's a token that represents your interest into a brand. It could be Doge. You're a fan of Doge. You own Dogecoin. You're a fan of PSG. You own PSG token. And so, as much as I hate them, you have to embrace it. That's one thing. The second thing is what the Pepper team wants to do, which is cool, is they actually a bit inspired from the penguins. It's creating toys around peppers and creating soft toys around that and creating a real universe around the pepper. And which is a universe thing in India, in Asia, in Europe, in Latin America, everywhere in the world. So that's something that's going to be fun.
We're building a lot. I mean, we're building a whole new universe. And so obviously we've been working on this since 2021, but ultimately what Star Atlas is an ultra high fidelity grand strategy space adventure open world MMO, but we're coupling that with a real world borderless open digital economy. And so I think it really is critical that people understand it takes the combination of those two things to realize and materialize the full value of Web3 gaming. The value proposition consists of both. It's a phenomenal gaming and entertainment experience, but it's also economic opportunity for people all over the world. And the motivations for people to get into a game like Star Atlas consists of a wide variety of items. And that could be the gamers that want to get in and play and have a good time and lose themselves in the immersion of the game. It could be people that are looking for labor opportunities to come pilot someone else's ship. It could be an investor that wants to own these assets and treat them like a cash flowing physical asset like real estate, for example. Own a fleet of ships, rent those out to other players, collect the passive cash flows off of that. Or it could be people that are just simply looking for social experiences, people that they can meet in this digital realm, or concerts or other forms of entertainment that exist directly within the universe of Star Atlas.
So I'll speak about both SingularityNET and SingularityNET. Obviously, SingularityNET has completed a merger with Fetch and Ocean Protocol. We became the ASI, Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, so we've shown to the market a new way of operating and a way of structurally defragmenting and consolidating the market that I think is going to set a trend, and there's going to be more of that coming out of us as well as other ecosystem, I'm sure. And the vision there is very big. We want to build ASI, which is artificial superintelligence, which is after AGI, which is after AI. So we put ourselves on a challenge that is 20, 50 years, and given that our competition is large corporates, governments, and or competition or partners, depending on. But in any case, it's a big challenge. So doing it together is better. That's what we're doing.
Our main priority right now is to be able to, like right now, most of our Web 2 components, that's like more than 90% of Web 2 components are still centralized. Web 2 components like data centers, data custody, actual cloud services, they're all centralized. Like 4 or 5 years ago, after I left Phantom, when I was looking at the Web3 space, GCP, AWS, they were the market share for them, it's about 40%. So critical infrastructure like front-end databases, things like nodes hosted on those ecosystems like GCP and AWS. What happened in the last 4 years, they started gobbling up Web3 industry. So according to our research, last year, December, it's about 82%. Now, imagine 82% of our Web3 critical infrastructure like front-end databases, node as a service are hosted on GCP and AWS. The question is where the decentralization? So for me, it's quite important that if you want to host a website, if you want to run some sort of a basic function, it's not having a middleman. So the idea of immutable cloud or permissionless cloud or borderless cloud is a quite interesting topic. So what we're working on right now is that idea. So think like a torrent network. So torrent network, you can share movies, music without borders. Imagine you can run like a workloads instead of sharing files. So that's what we're working on at the moment. Our low-hanging fruit is, other than like immutable cloud service, the node as a service. So we aggregate a lot of unused compute and storage through data centers, and we offer that to L1 and L2 chains. So if we can bring cheap physical infrastructure like GPU, CPU bandwidth, we hope to bring the node operators economic viability, sustainable. In other words, if we can bring the cost down of running a node, Ethereum, Polygon, Phantom, the economic viability is good. So that's what we're working on right now.
At heart, I'm an engineer, I'm a technologist, and so I get excited about technology. There's a great project right now called Tezos X. It's a roadmap, it's a proposed roadmap for bringing a lot of scalability to Tezos. Now, we've already demonstrated last year 1 million transactions per second, but that was across 1,000 separate rollups. We're trying to demonstrate that across a single rollup, but more importantly, we're trying to bring mainstream programming languages like JavaScript, Python, and Java to the blockchain. Now, there's been some initiatives already in the blockchain space for this, but nothing at the scale that we're planning.
So we discover always how we can improve the space. In terms of why we went cross-chain, we recognize that we have 80 billions of US dollars total value locked, so liquidity available in different chains, and 50% is on Ethereum, the other very distributed, and it's like really terrible experience to use bridges or cross-chain swaps with high-risk messaging protocols. So we try to discover what is the next pain here, what we can solve. Yeah. Right now, we see a huge pain at the institutional side. They want to interact with DeFi, would like to use the liquidity, also would like to provide liquidity, but they cannot really do that. Since we have our intent-based architecture with the swap and the cross-chain swap, now we can actually offer really compliant environment for the banks. This is what we plan to do next year, to launch a new product for institutional customers.
The first exciting thing that we basically launched our mainnet after 7 years of development. So I mentioned file storage. We have a file hub coming soon where you can store very large chunks of data and have streaming directly. Then we are also introducing something called Chromia extensions, which is basically, you can call it like an add-on layer where you can have arbitrary, more computationally intensive things. So you can have components for zero-knowledge proofs, for AI, and basically a lot of things that you can add on top of Chromia. So we are rolling out that out as well. And we're also introducing a fund to sponsor data and AI projects worth of $20 million for adopting Chromia.
Oh my God. The most exciting stuff is we're adding more social features. So in the feed, right, as you're watching videos, one of the next updates is going to be that you can see who has invested on that specific video. So if we follow each other, right, and if I invest on a video about Solana, their latest updates, you will see Mel and Anna and 23 others invested on this video, right? And so, because like my friends and family, they want to know when I invest in something, but in turn, I want to know what like the big investors that I look up to in our industry are investing in, right? And this is something that you can't get in crypto today. Like when you're on Coinbase or Binance, these platforms have 100 million users, but you feel completely alone on these platforms as a retail user, right? Like it's you and the huge crypto markets, whereas it should be this communal investing experience. It needs to be social, and so like that's what we're building. And then like the other like most exciting thing to me is one of the next updates coming very soon is that when you're in the feed, you see videos related to, from all kinds of tokens. But if you see a particular token that you've never heard of, you can tap on the token, you can click on the token, and then you enter a feed where all the videos you see are about that token, which is amazing because if I've never heard of, say, Luxo or Hathor or whatever, I can click on the token and see just the top content that made other people buy or sell that stuff. And so I can learn so much faster about a token project than I could anywhere else, right? Today you have to go to telegrams and white papers and like all these different methods, and it's way too complicated to understand all the tokens. So, yeah.
What we started with is essentially a Web3 LinkedIn. So the hook for us is basically providing jobs with top Web3 companies, and we also have referral bounties. So you can play the role of a recruiter, as well as apply for jobs, or if you're an HR person, find talent. Essentially a job marketplace and talent network. That's our first use case.
Yeah, so Bitlayer, we are working on this Bitcoin verification module with the BVM2 framework, right? We are one of the first team doing research since last year. We are kind of just basically building and cultivating the Bitcoin DeFi summer, right? All the things like CDP, stablecoin protocol, on-chain lending, perp dexes, option protocols, you name it, all kinds of stuff. Of course, there's like real world assets, all these new things coming along the ways, all using like Bitcoin as main assets, as denominator assets, and also liquidity.
So we started with the spot exchange, then we moved to spot margin, and we, in the last year, have launched perpetual futures. And so one of the things that we look at, the financial space, is that we deal with value, where we talk about storage of value, we talk about transfer of value, exchange of value, provision of value, lending, and then protection of value, which is either insurance or derivatives. So what we're really looking at right now, we're doing a lot from the wallet side, we're doing it on the payment side, we're doing a lot on the exchange side, obviously. So very soon we're going to be launching the ability for people to generate yield on the platform with a peer-to-peer marketplace, so that if you have extra funds, you can lend out, and if you want some funds, you can borrow. But all on VALR, so there's no third-party counterparty risk, and it's all collateralized. So we're very excited about kind of bringing across all those 5 pillars new products and services to our customers.
Well, Chiliz is becoming an infrastructure player for this service. So they're becoming the blockchain of choice for SportFi, and I think that's great. They can work with partners like ourselves to support the clubs in detailed ways. So Chiliz becomes the infrastructure, and we become the partner who supports the club and the player or the association with the technical implementation.
So Bob is a hybrid layer 2. For us it was important not only just to build a Bitcoin layer 2 in isolation, but actually think about how do we create an ecosystem that can empower builders, help them go to market fast, and how can we reach the real flippening, which is for me, when a new project launches, they pick Bitcoin over Ethereum to deploy, because right now everybody deploys to ETH. And for that, we have a very pragmatic approach. We work with OP Stack, with Optimism to take that's the most usable stack there is right now, and we customize it and we make sure that it's Bitcoin friendly. And we build infrastructure around it. And the other thing is that we are not just on Bitcoin. It's important to be able to bring the ETH users and users from other ecosystems as well to this platform, because ultimately everybody has Bitcoin, everybody's a Bitcoiner. So Bob is a hybrid layer 2 that combines the innovation of Ethereum with the security of Bitcoin. And how it looks in practice is Bob will have Bitcoin security, a trust minimized Bitcoin bridge, but also a trust minimized bridge from Ethereum to Bob that is secured by Bitcoin. And the idea is that any smart contract chain that can verify what's going on Bitcoin and check that, okay, Bob has finalized on Bitcoin, can bridge assets and withdraw them as long as Bitcoin is safe. That's kind of the value proposition. We don't need third-party bridges. You don't need to go to an exchange to trade ETH versus Sol. You can do this on Bob under Bitcoin security. But of course, you can trade Bitcoin against stablecoins against ETH, and you can use them for payments, for DeFi, as long as Bitcoin is safe. And that's the whole vision. And the next 6 months for us are, on one hand, we have 2 tracks. On the product side, we have launched a new product called Bob Stake, which allows you to stake your Bitcoin into the variety of different Bitcoin LST projects with one click. And you can do this from a lot of wallets and third-party front ends, like staking rewards. And there'll be many, many more partners that will be integrating this, because for them, it's one integration. You get access to all the LSTs. And for the LSTs, they get access to millions of users. And then they can use them in Bob's DeFi ecosystem. And on the technical side, of course, it's BitVM, really. We've released a paper together with Robin, and now it's really continuing to improve. But we're not the only team working on this. And the goal is, I think, as an ecosystem, to ship the prototype, get it to mainnet, get the bridge working, and show that it's not just research, it actually works. And that, I think, is the biggest game changer.